That's Melissa. She was the last person to see Johnny alive.
What are you thinking?
I'm swimming alone.
Sweet Melissa.
God damn it! Open the door!
Are you with us still, Melissa?
What's up, rotters, and welcome back to the podcast that takes a deep dive into the best and worst horror films of the 80s and 90s. I hope you're all doing horrendously. First up today, some shout-outs. This episode is brought to you by Helen Lawless, Michael Davenport, Jacob Sleet, Alexander Heigl, Gavin Batka, Eric Anderson, Simon Hunter, and Devin Burns. All of these awesome people recently signed up to our Patreon, and I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for all the support. It helps so much. Coming this week on Patreon, Becky Dark will be joining me to discuss the new Children of the Corn movie, and on the Cellar Dweller tier, Matt Draper and I will be giving the lowdown on the brand new Texas Chainsaw Massacre computer game. So to hear these and get your own shout out on the show, just head to steviesbrainrot.com or click the link below. Now then, this week I'm joined by the hilarious and brilliant Colin A. Borden. Colin is an actor and director who's appeared in shows like Better Call Saul and viral sensation Dhar Mann. He's also found a huge following on his social media channels, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube for his hilariously relatable content. So we sat down to discuss 1983's slasher Sweet 16, directed by the controversial Jim Sotos. This was one of my blind watches that I chose completely at random, and there's probably a good reason I've not really heard a lot of buzz about this movie, but hey, this is Brain Rot. And if I don't cover it, who will? Colin, hello, welcome.
Hello, how are you? It's lovely to see you.
Yeah, you too. Because obviously this is the first time we've actually spoken in person. It's all been lots of likes on each other's TikToks and whatnot.
Yeah, right. Occasional comments here and there.
Yeah, obviously you've got an incredible acting CV, but the whole TikTok thing. Now, did that come out of you, because you did YouTube stuff first, right?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I've been acting for a while, semi-professionally for a while, and then I just got hooked up on this wacky little YouTube show that ended up taking off like crazy.
Right.
And that sort of put me in a funny little weird, D-list celebrity that I try to exploit as much as I can, but So yeah, then TikTok. Someone told me get on TikTok, and I said, "Yeah, all right." And because of this show Dhar Mann, I got a lot of followers, so I don't really have like a brand or anything that I do over there. I just sort of like use it like a dad would, and get some likes.
Yeah, it's funny because I think we're the same age, 38. Yeah,
same.
Yeah, and I kind of resisted TikTok for ages. It's so funny, and like worked my arse off trying to just be funny or make content on Twitter. Then I moved over to Instagram, but I wasn't hot enough to be one of the big Instagram people, and then so eventually I just thought, fuck it, I'll just try a bit of TikTok, see what it's like, and I couldn't understand the use of it. Like I wasn't using it to watch anything, like all the algorithm and stuff was not getting me. And then I started making videos, and then who knew that's where I'd suddenly sort of in social standards take off. It's so weird.
Yeah. Well, I think the stuff that you do is so funny and charming. Like it all comes right from your heart. Like it's weird. You do some weird stuff, weird. But it's so clearly like you. And I think that's what people really latch onto.
Yeah, and I think it's the first time I've been able to show. I suppose with all of us, show that side of ourselves. The things that make your friends, are those weird idiosyncrasies that you have with each other, and then embarrassingly going, oh, I wonder if anyone else will get this. And then suddenly you find out a lot of people do. And I think that's what's been really cool about that. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's quite joyful.
Yeah. So I want to ask you about horror in general. Do you remember your origin story? Maybe where it started, the first horror you saw?
Golly, well, do you know, I don't really like horror movies because I
Great.
don't like to be scared.
I mean, that makes sense, doesn't it? I mean, that's the amygdala
Yeah.
going off and saying, no, this isn't a pleasurable thing.
I was up in I had cousins up in New Hampshire, and we went to go visit them. And I don't know, I was somewhere around 10, 12, something like that. You know, like not too young, but not too old yet.
Yeah.
And they had the great idea to go watch The Exorcist in the basement, and I didn't even like see, you know, the demon. Like I just watched the opening stuff with all the pyramids, and I was like, nope, can't do it. I'm out. And I just like sat up there with my aunt and my mom, and like, you know, was bored out of my mind, but I wasn't scared.
Right.
But I love, like, there's, you know, like this movie in particular, I wouldn't call it horror. There's like one minor jump scare in it.
Yeah.
So this was totally fun to watch, but like schlock, like 80s, like weird stuff. Like, when my brother and I would go to the, you know, video store, and we used to go right to the cult section, which we didn't really know, you know, what that meant or anything like that. And we get all sorts of like Revenge of the Killer Tomatoes, Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, like all those kinds of things, loving all that kind of stuff. And then one day we picked up a copy of The Toxic Avenger, and we were totally jazzed about watching that. Got it home, got pizza, you know, 2-liter thing of Coke. My mom is in the living room with us. She's like doing ironing or something like that. We pop on Toxic Avenger, and instantly boobs.
Of course.
Like, oh my gosh, hold on a second. And she picks up the remote, you know, she fast forwards a little bit, still boobs, still boobs, still boobs, still boobs. She's like, we're not watching this. So it took me a while to see that one finally. And then we went another time and we got the movie Meet the Feebles. And it was like, oh, this is like
Mr.
a fun
Jackson.
Muppet movie. This will
Right,
be
of
great.
course.
Yeah. Muppets getting, you know, screwed and
Yes.
doing lines of Coke and stuff like that. So then the video store changed their policy on cult movies because of our family. My dad.
What? That's so funny.
They're like, you can't just leave these out for kids to pick up.
But I mean, the thing is, we're looking back at it now. I mean, who were they for unless they were for children? You know, underage children.
Exactly.
All of those movies.
Yeah.
And
It definitely, it's all
it's
mind expanding and
yeah, exactly. It's all catered totally towards that developing brain for sure, because of the
Yeah.
imagination that we have before it's all fucking tainted. So that's why we love like Ghoulies and Critters and all those sort of films.
Yeah.
It was magic to me, you know, and I never found anything scary massively. There was only a few things that really scared me, but that was always some sort of human interaction. But just seeing these creations just blew my mind, and it was, that was my go-to. And it was also, you know, if my parents wanted to, they could bloody use horror as a babysitter if they just wanted me to shut up for an hour and a half.
just pop it on.
Yeah, there it was.
And they didn't have any problem with you like watching like really strange stuff?
Because
like, did they ever look over your shoulder?
No, I mean, I remember very clearly my dad, we all sat down as a family once and watched Jaws, and I remember, because I think probably because that didn't scare me and other things that I saw didn't scare me, it excited me. And I also, you know, at that age I was very interested in the art of movie making. Like I wanted to be a special effects makeup artist originally. That was the dream when I was a kid, and I used to try and make shit all the time and potions and stuff like that. So it's excitement for me, and I think that's where it started. And also it was my little secret as well. I mean, I got in trouble a couple of times because I may have told a teacher that I'd seen the It miniseries when I was 9 or something. So, and then I realized, you know, I'm
writing home about that.
Yes, maybe keep it to myself. But yeah, so I love it. So, but with this one today, Sweet 16 from 1983. So this is one of my blind watches because I've got so many Blu-rays because as soon as something's restored that I've never heard of, I immediately buy it.
You just grab it?
I'm just and
wow.
it's just like back in the day being in the VHS store. I'm like, haven't seen it, cover looks cool, judge it by that.
That's so fun because it's so tactile. Like I watched it, I had like commercials and like,
right,
but yeah, getting the box and opening it up, and there's the poster and
exactly, all of that, and the original artwork. Yeah, it was, and
Yeah.
so putting it on was like a sort of a spiritual experience, especially if it's a film I haven't seen. And interesting film. I had no idea what to expect, but it immediately ticked a lot of 80s slasher low-budget horror boxes, such as racism, misogyny, nudity, and two female leads that look so alike that it took about 20 minutes to differentiate who the fuck was on screen.
I'm still not entirely sure who was in the first, that opening
Right, okay.
nightmare. I don't know which one that was.
Yeah, so I've got a story about that. It's funny. It's quite like Toxic Avenger. It originally started with boobs, and then it was changed. But I'll get into it. So for someone who hadn't seen this film, and I mean, I don't know if you should seek it out massively. I think just listen to us and then make your mind up. But how would you explain to someone what Sweet 16 is about?
Do you want my little tagline thing? Okay, Here we go. I wrote a little thing.
I can't wait.
Do you like microfiche? Uncomfortable nudity? Kissing your teenage daughter on the lips? Then Sweet 16 might just be the cinematic romp you're looking for. When a sleepy little Texas town full of bigoted alcoholic pedophiles somehow winds up with their first murder in nearly 30 years, folks get spooked. The suspect list is pretty short. Is it Jason, the loner indigenous fellow just trying to go about his business? Or Melissa, the mysterious sex pot new girl that seems to be the last person most dead guys talk to? The game is afoot. Soon the stabbed corpses of fit young men start stacking up, and while some take the law into their own hands, local chilled-out Sheriff Dan Burke isn't taking any chances, or evidence, or arresting people, or obtaining warrants. That's for city slickers. Sheriff Dan may like the pink in the middle, and his girl Friday loves a 2-inch steak. But director Jim Sotos prefers a steamy red herring, and it'll take some heart-pounding library set pieces and passing references to obscure police paperwork codes to solve this corker of a thriller. Let's hope Sheriff Dan can snip this string of murders just in the nick of time.
You just picked up on those library moments. It felt like I didn't know if I was missing something, but I kept feeling like I should be enjoying these moments more. They're setting them up in a way that I think they want a reaction from me to feel like I'm really invested in what they're doing.
You're part of the mystery or something, yeah.
Yes. But
I mean, I did go back. I watched that, and then I rewound to just try to watch all the parts that maybe would have been the clues.
Important bits. Yeah.
Really, maybe they were really subtle, and I was watching late at night, and I kept missing it. But I don't think you can really play along with the mystery. Yeah. But the woman who played Kathy, the archivist or whatever, she was Sharon Farrell. She was so charming that those sequences, they're just on the telephone for a while, and then they're sitting in front of the microfiche, and it was really charming to watch those two guys work. But yeah, completely. I don't know it wasn't exciting.
No. But she's almost like the comedy relief character, I suppose, because she, as you say, it's really endearing, their interactions, and that would work if it was a film sort of where that is the core of it. But of course it's not. It just feels very out of place. And so that, the opening. So let's talk about that opening, because it's the Gothic castle, and it's so confusing. And actually, as a setup, you
candles
think,
everywhere.
Yeah, it's full Bonnie Tyler music video, and you think, I think I like where this is going. But of course, one of my least favourite things in slashes is finding out something was a dream sequence and snapping back to reality. So it's this person. I wasn't. So it has to be Marcy, right? Because she's the daughter of the sheriff who likes to read the horror books.
Yeah, she had the same book in the dream as at the table.
Right.
But
so the reason it's so strange. So originally, that really odd serves no purpose scene in the middle where Melissa is just in the shower and there's romantic music, and it serves zero purpose, and it is in the middle of two tension scenes or something. So that was originally going to be the opening, because they were going to really hook you in and go, nice. I'm going to keep watching this.
And then let her know that she's 15.
Right, yeah, right, which, I mean, I'm glad she's not 15. But
yes,
that's
she was 20.
That's all very, very confusing as well, because obviously she's meant to be 15, turning 16. And also the men talk about her in very inappropriate ways. It's disgusting.
Yes.
So
yes.
the girl who played Marcy, Dana Kimmel, so she was in Friday the 13th Part 3, which came out the year before. And so then they decided, we kind of want to make her look like the main girl, even though Melissa's the main girl. And so then they created this whole opening using, just because of her rising fame, in this gothic castle, and then switched the nude scene to later on. And actually that explains a lot why a lot of the time you don't know who you're meant to be with, like who is our protagonist, or amateur sleuth, or is it the weird, the nymphomaniac type girl who is being very suspicious. It was confusing, right?
Or I kind of thought that it was like a Scooby-Doo kind of gang mystery, and like it was the sheriff and his two kids, the plucky little girl who's going to solve the mystery anyway, and then the all-American boy. And I was like, you know what? I would watch a couple more with this crowd. Like if these guys
motley crew
went on and did another movie, I'd check that out. What else can this happen in Sun Valley, Texas?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's because that opener was just. I mean, it was tone setting, I guess. I don't think a tone for this movie, but it was tone setting, and it very much felt tacked on. So I'm glad that it was.
Literally, yes.
It could not have been conceived in that story, and because it never comes back. She's never plagued by nightmares. There's no concept of anything like that.
Yeah, that's the thing. It does make you feel though that is going to have some much more relevance, because I thought maybe if we find out the people are being killed in the way that they are in her book, because she says it was the gardener, he did it with a rake and stuff like that, but it's actually not relevant, and it's just I mean it looks great, but it's such a bizarre opening to.
And she doesn't help with the mystery at all. I mean, I guess she befriends Melissa, who gets her closer to her brother, but she doesn't you think that she's sort of being set up as the one. She's got the book, she's got the literal mystery book, she knows all the clues, and she knows how these things work, and this sheriff is a little sleepy and a little casual, and so he's gonna need help, and I guess he gets it from the other woman. But
nope. It's just in there. So we should first of all, actually, so originally the boob scene at the as the opening, the shower scene. So Jim Sotos, who directed this, so he was mainly known for his big hit was in 1976, and it was a film called Forced Entry. Okay.
Nice. Okay.
Well, and it's what it sounds like. Basically, 2 years before that, there was a film called Forced Entry, which was a XXX rated, violent porn.
Sure. Okay.
And I mean, I don't need to say what it was about, but it was about one person who was forcing entry into prostitutes, basically, and it was really rotten and revolting. And so Jim Sotos thought, hey, I think that film needs a narrative. And so he decided to make a horror film out of this really nasty porn film. And so he did. So he made a horror film in 1976 called Forced Entry. And so he's, he's a bit of a controversial figure. And then he did this, nearly 10 years later, whatever it is, 6 years later. And that was the next thing he did. But yeah, if he had his way, I think it would have been that shower scene.
Right up top there.
Yeah, right up top.
Yeah.
Just where he likes it. Awkward straight away, isn't it? Because we get we get the lay of the land. It's this real sort of Texas town. Yeah, I mean, you tell me, is it a real sort of Texas town? You got violent, racist people in cowboy hats.
Well, I mean, I've lived in sort of what they call OTP, outside the perimeter of Atlanta, in Georgia, and yeah, there's definitely some colorful characters in certain parts of this country for sure. I don't know if it's all like that, but yeah, they were definitely just instantly coming at Greyfeather for coming in the bar, really intense, and
just
then
wants a drink.
I mean, I was trying to figure out the opening. Like, even if it had started with a sexy shower scene, I still don't think you really got to do a lot of your own guesswork as to who these people are, what their relationships are, what has happened before. Like, it felt like we're really just dropped in on something in a not exciting way, in a work way.
Yeah, that is one of my least favorite traits of early 80s slashers is they don't bother with introduction or character development, you've just got to catch up and keep up.
Like I wrote down. I think the first time we get Melissa's name is 13 minutes into it.
Right. Right, because the first time we meet her, you're waiting to hear her name, because I've always got my pen poised, and we'd had a lot of information about her and with her, and I was like, I still need to know, is this the one who woke up earlier? And it's very confusing, and it took a while until I heard 2 female names so that I could then differentiate them.
Yeah.
Nightmare.
And there's multiple people named John, and
yes, they're all John and Johnny. I mean, don't get me started on the mother, because I still don't understand what her name is, because the 4 names get banded around, like a nickname, her surname, her actual name, and her sister's name. And
and then the name in the paper is like spelled differently than I would have thought the name that they're saying is.
Yes,
it's like it's spelled like Joan in the paper, but they say Joanne.
Or Jeannie, or
yeah,
it's all over the place. So we meet Melissa, who I guess is our protagonist, but I'm gonna say it now, Colin, I don't think I like her.
No.
Because even though we're meant to be following her, and she's kind of meant to be the one we're rooting for, one, she seems to be racist, because every single thing that happens, she goes, I'll tell you who it was. It was those natives, for sure. And I mean, I'm not slut-shaming either, but every second she meets a new guy, she's kind of like,
and they're instantly kissing.
Oh, should we do it?
Yeah, it gets pretty intense. Yeah, she's smoking on the quad, which probably in the 80s was probably a little bit more all right, but she comes literally out of the woods and starts harassing this guy at the top, looking for a good time, and then just jumps in the truck with Johnny, goes off for whatever. It's very, very cold, very, very distant. I was trying to sort her out, but I guess that's sort of the point, is that you're not really supposed to like her.
Yeah, they want us to
you are
suspect
supposed to
her.
suspect. Yeah.
Interesting. It's a fun character, though, in that we don't immediately go, oh, classic, this is the archetype, because she is quite mysterious, and but we never really find out why. I mean, possibly the very last shot, we found out there are some things going on that are latent.
Well, it didn't really turn into anything, but there's a shot of her sleeping in her bed after Johnny is murdered, and the bars are on the window. The bars of her headboard cover up the window. And I was like, okay, this is maybe some good symbolism. Like Dad is really intense. The only scare in the movie is when Johnny turns around and almost bumps into Dad. So like we're setting him up as sort of oppressive, and she lives in this, brass prison in this weird town that she doesn't want to go into. I was like, okay, I think I'm putting it together. But maybe not. Maybe I was just grasping at something. But maybe she is like a little, like she doesn't. Apparently, they're changing house all the time. Mom clearly has some issues, and maybe is the one who's really repressive and holding her back. And it's not actually Dad. Dad is sort of like protecting Mom too, and that's why he's so powerful.
Or I like the idea that they have to keep moving because the mum keeps killing everyone.
Killing everybody. Yeah.
Because she keeps going, my dad's here, and they're like, oh, not this again. She just wipes out a town, and then they move on.
Yeah.
Oh, we're here for a dig. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I was going to go poke the dirt with my cane for a little while. And
she's just completely clearing out like counties every time they move around. But the dad, so that he's played by Patrick McNee, who was a big actor in the 60s especially. He was in The Avengers, the British, not the Marvel Avengers.
Sure.
The British TV.
Mrs. Peel and everything.
Yes, exactly. Dinah Rigg. And it was originally going to be Leslie Nielsen in this part.
I read that.
Yeah, did you? That would have been such a different vibe. He would have played it much... Well, I mean, I can't say for sure, but I can picture not being able to take it quite seriously.
No, and I think this is... When did it... this is slightly after Airplane, isn't it?
Really? 83?
But yeah, I wonder, because in Airplane, I mean, he was playing it straight. Like all the goofiness is swirling around him. But if he had played it like Leslie Nielsen plays straight, it would have been, I think, still kind of distracting and silly.
Yeah, for sure.
It wouldn't have been as intimidating as this guy.
I guess it would have brought a different flavour to it. But I do like what he does, Patrick McNee, because, again, every person in this family is a suspect because they're all just really fucking odd.
Yeah, and I would thought there was going to be more hay made of him being a British guy, like being such an outsider. But I
Right.
guess that's written in the original script. They were going to hire an American originally, and
Right.
no one
Yeah.
thought to change that. But with everybody's bigoted, racist
He's
about everything, like
Yeah, but I suppose he's white enough, I think, for this town. So
yeah,
yeah,
maybe.
so they don't have that much of a problem with him. Yeah, this is where I put the girls are so hard to differentiate. But this is when I finally started to separate them in my mind. Like if she's got bangs, she's the amateur sleuth sister, and if she's coming onto a guy, it's the other one, basically. Oh yeah, so Johnny, the first kill. So they set it up. Obviously, it's going to be a real whodunit. You know, it's not a sort of masked killer slasher. And
Yeah.
when did you? I mean, at some point I thought it was various people, but quite not too far in, I went, it's got to be the fucking mum because she's being so weird. She's just being so weird to everyone.
She's very
Like, I
weird.
used to live here. Don't you remember me? And it feels like she's got an axe to grind.
Yes, yeah. Oh, that's good. I admit I didn't. I knew that
Oh,
it
good.
wasn't Melissa because she was out with Johnny in the truck, there was like that shot of looming terror
Looming
coming up to the truck.
POV, yeah.
But and I didn't think it was the dad because that seemed too obvious. I didn't think it was Jason because that was too obvious. But yeah, I guess I was just along for the ride, trying to enjoy it.
Yeah.
But she was like she had a weird stilted way of speaking, and
Yeah.
I thought that was always kind of, I can't think of any of the lines, but she was like, I'm thinking about throwing a party for my daughter.
Yes,
Like, okay.
It's fantastic. And we'd had obviously Halloween in 1978, but then this type of whodunit horror was really made popular by Friday the 13th in 1980, and so that's when you got this real wave of cookie cutter horror films, and this one really goes for that, I think, because it's about the mother who is the overbearing mother who's they've taken it from that, but obviously her reasons are a bit different, but there's always some sort of revenge usually behind. If we have a female killer in an 80s slasher, it's usually to do with revenge or justice and getting back at someone or some wrongdoing that was there. And so I think I was immediately kind of like, I see the
You're
signs.
looking for that. Yeah.
I see the
I didn't
signs.
think, what did you think of the kills?
A little bit lackluster. I mean, there was a couple of after shots when we see the sort of what's happened to someone's face perhaps after, which was fine, but what I want by this point as well, because 1983 was well into the slasher boom, we were getting tens and tens and tens a year, if not hundreds. It was insane, and it was all about by this point how exotic the kills were, or how a new way of what's he going to use this time, what's been used before. And so garden rake would have been great, but
Jackie
we just don't
Channing
see it. Yeah. And so,
Yeah, they weren't very, like, they weren't visceral. They didn't feel scary or painful. Like, we'd get the initial stab in the back, and there were the occasional, like, you'd see a dummy
Piece
or
of
whatever
cotton.
getting kind of
Yes.
real spongy material getting kind of stabbed. It was already covered in blood, so like it didn't like erupt or feel like anything, and you couldn't see the people's faces, and they did the weird slow mo. It wasn't very exciting.
I enjoyed it though because I watched it with my mum because my mum's visiting me at the moment, and as she clocked so early on, maybe it was her before me she was like, oh, it's the mum, it's the wife, definitely. Something.
You should look
something
out
weird
for your
went on in
mom
her
if
past.
she knew right away.
Maybe it's that. Maybe she's like, oh, I know that feeling.
Yeah.
But also, this absolutely cracked me up. So I tend to watch these films with subtitles as well because 80s audio sometimes can't be restored very well. And I had to pause because my mum was reading the subtitles throughout the whole thing, and this is about 15 minutes in, and she said, so what language is this? And I went, what do you mean? It's English. And she went, oh. And she'd been reading the subtitles, and her brain had told her, due to the subtitles, whatever you can hear isn't understandable. And she did not clock that she had been watching an English-speaking movie for the first 20 minutes. And only when I told her did her ears go, oh yeah, I know this.
There is a lot of mumbling draws in there.
Well,
so,
yes.
Yeah.
I think that's Texas and the 80s.
Yeah.
That's a double whammy for you. But Melissa, finds her. Well, it feels like she's finding her next victim because there's Tommy Jackson, the football jock, and she's very forward with him.
He's
as
into a
well.
lot of things. That guy.
Oh, that's right. Yes,
He's a real exciting character.
he is. And he's our next death, right?
Yeah. Or does Greyfeather come first?
Oh no, wait, that's it, because Greyfeather is there when they find
When
Tommy
they find
Jackson's
him.
body.
Yeah,
And of course that makes Melissa even more like it was definitely the native guy.
Yeah.
It's really, but the thing is, when they do that,
Come on.
sorry, I can't. You've seen my TikTok. I've seen films where there's a lot of this racism and this angle, and it feels very, very icky, and then there is no kind of comeuppance. Whereas I feel like in this, if it has to be in there, it feels like they do come back round, and there is some sort of justice for the wrongdoing. But it still feels a little bit like I think they're pushing it as a bit too entertaining.
Yes, I would agree with that, because the guys that do they do get murdered in the end, but a lot of other people have gotten murdered that weren't kind of all that icky, I guess.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't feel, there's no sense of justice, I would say, because it just sort of happens.
There's a bit where I thought, it's actually, I've decided it is Marcy, because she switches very quickly at the funeral, where she goes from calling Melissa like an attention-seeking, stupid little bitch to the next second going, "Are you okay? I'm worried about you."
Yeah, they're best friends now.
It's so confusing.
Yeah.
It shows range, though.
It's true.
Explain to me the knife thing. So 5 of the knives have gone missing from the archaeology dig, right?
Right.
And then they are found in Jason's house. Is it them, or were they just Jason's knives that had squirrel blood on?
Oh, that's a great question.
Or were they
I don't know.
planted? No, I want an answer, Colin.
I imagine, and with little offense, you may know a lot about this with the British Museum. He probably just wanted his people's stuff, so he probably was taking stuff as much as he could from the dig site. So I would believe that those were knives taken, and that he was just, no pun intended, squirreling them away for safekeeping. But yeah, exactly. I guess I didn't get a good enough look at it, but it didn't seem like a Native American knife. When the first couple folks got murdered, it seemed like a regular big old butcher knife. So how Joni got a hold of one, and then later how Melissa got it into her possession, that's where I don't really know. Like I think that was just supposed to be a fun little red herring, but it did seem more important that that was the murder weapon until it wasn't, until it was again.
Yeah.
But I guess, maybe she picked it up. Jason gets knocked out by the racist boozers. So maybe Joni found it on her way traipsing through the woods, and she picked it up then. And then that's how Melissa got it?
I buy it.
Okay.
I buy that.
Also, talking about subtitles, at this point, I was starting to get very confused because it's the birthday party, and there's also a line that the mother says. No, it's not the mother. It's the dad. It's the doctor, Patrick McNee. He says to Marcy something about, "Oh, my wife's made it look just like her own 16th birthday party," and I thought, that's going to be vital. And although we don't get details, it kind of, in retrospect, you can kind of piece together and go, "Oh, something awful happened at that party." So it's like a recreation of that. And I suppose even though it's not explicit, that's kind of the whole drive of this bit and making it like this.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if it was she never got hers. She never got her own because dad was terrible and her sister was murdered or whatever. So that's where I was kind of hinging that. It was the party was designed as, because she's already crazy. She's like, "I'm going to make this all for myself, and I'm it's my party." Because I guess she says that. My husband, well, I want a party for my daughter.
Yes, right. Yes, yeah, she does.
So it's all her.
Yeah, but what I was saying about the the subtitles, and I wasn't sure quite what was being said and what wasn't at this point, because they were very confusing, because he says, how are you, Marcy? But the subtitles said, oh no, you mustn't. And I suddenly thought, oh no, how long has it been like making shit up? Because I was like, oh no, I've been taking notes, and I don't know if I've been taking them from listening or reading, because it feels like a lot. And then the next few lines did not match up. It was like a completely different thing. But I don't think it would have made it clearer either way, so I don't think it matters that much.
You got to write a strongly worded letter now to the DVD company.
Or to Jim Sotos. I think he's had enough strongly worded letters after
Probably.
4th century. But it's the big sort of final sort of crux, the climax of the movie. I did not understand what he discovered in the newspapers.
No.
Did you?
1956.
Yes, 1956. I've cracked it.
That's where I started kind of trying to rewind and like, well, where was this sort of like the hinge pin information that we needed? And so there hasn't been a murder in this town for 30 some odd years. So that's where he starts, because he thinks only murderers murder, I guess. So if there's a murder in the town, that must be the same guy. So I'll go back.
And someone's just come back for 30 years later, and suddenly there's murder, so it has to
now
be
it all
that.
makes sense. Yeah.
Okay. So we are saying she used to murder people back then as well.
I guess. Well, I think it was her dad. Yeah.
Right. She killed her dad. Right.
And then she went on the run, killing people all over the rest of the town. But in this town, she only killed her dad.
It's been 30 years until now. I see.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
And in fact, the name that was Joan.
Yeah.
Right in that, that Joan had killed herself in a psych ward. That was like, that's all the information he needed.
Yeah, and
she's assumed an identity.
Yeah, that's the confusing bit, isn't it? When it's all very quick information at the end, the exposition dump, because obviously we're down at the lake, and then you've got Billy there, the nasty big bad Billy, and he's there with his goon, and then the kids are in the water, and then people are being knocked about, and the killer's there, and Marcy's there, and the sheriff's. I was very confused.
Yeah, they all managed to walk to the same forest just off the party, within minutes from walking distance from the party. Well, they, I think his name was Tom, the sort of weird politician guy. I think that was supposed to be like the big moment when you know that something really weird is happening, because he doesn't recognize a woman from 30 years ago, but she recognizes him. So therefore, something must be amiss. Like that's the only kind of
I think that's
real
the bit
clue
when
I could kind of go back and find.
Something's up, because I was thinking, why would they put that in there? And she's being a little bit shifty about everything. And there's someone else. They mention another girl's name, and say, the cheerleader. And she goes, "Oh yes, I remember." I go, "Oh, she didn't like her."
Yeah. But that didn't matter.
No, again, that's the thing. All of these little seeds. Because we never really... Because obviously this whole thing goes down, and we see that she's there, Mrs. Morgan, and she's cradling Melissa. And I got, again, quite confused just about what is going on. Because this bit's fine, but then we get the sort of exposition dump where they're all, let's stand around and talk about what's just happened and let the audience know. And I don't think I picked up on absolutely everything. So her sister died 20 years ago. She killed her father, and then pretended to be her sister.
Took over the identity. Yeah, I think.
So who is she?
She's the I guess younger sister, or maybe she's the older sister, because Tom was saying something about how she's. Oh no, she is the. Because her husband said Tom sorry, the politician guy keeps saying things about like how well she's aged and how she doesn't look like everybody else from their class, and his wife is like aged so poorly, but she's aged so well. So I thought that was like some clue as to like she's assumed the identity of an older person. So like her older sister goes into a psych ward, I think because they were both being abused by dad. I don't know which of them killed dad. And then it said that Joan Joanne or whatever, killed herself in the psych ward, but maybe Trisha actually killed her and then took over the identity, or, exactly why, and what she was doing and what she was trying to get out of it. Or was she the one in the psych ward? And
Right. Exactly. All the threads are there, and I liked it. I was like, oh, there's something here, and if I could work it out, I think I'll probably be quite satisfied, but I just can't. And I want to know if John, the husband, so has she pretended to be someone all the time?
Right.
He's known her? Has
That's
he
all he
never known
knows.
his wife? Yeah. Right. And I mean, I suppose we can unpack that as we are now, but I feel like they could have had a moment or a couple of lines that made us go, oh shit.
Yeah.
But it's not quite there.
Yeah,
But
and
it
even
doesn't
Melissa,
really
like when
matter.
she wakes up, she's creeped out or whatever, but she's not like, Mom, stop doing it again, or anything like that.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
There's no history. There's no understanding from anybody except for the sheriff who managed to put it all together
Right.
in the library.
I feel like in the library we were meant to read all those articles because they focus on articles,
Dude,
and then they
yeah.
don't discuss what was in it. I was like, oh, I was meant to read it myself.
And there's the head, when he finally cracks that Joan is the name or Joanne is the name, the name is way down at the bottom of the screen.
Right. And there's like an ad as well, like an ad
Yeah,
with pictures
yeah.
that I was
So
focusing
like,
on.
What is that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
So
for pajamas
confusing.
or something. Yeah. Yeah. And then what about the NCICs? Or,
NCICS. What? Yeah.
like, I don't know what that is.
Same. And they say it so many times to the point where I was like, oh, it must be an American thing. They all know what that is there. But
Oh, nobody
no.
knows what that is. Trust me.
But they never tell us. They never
Yeah,
help us once.
it doesn't
by
matter to
calling
them.
it by layman's terms, what it would mean.
Yeah, and I feel like you could have like the sheriff who he gives all the work to the deputy. He could be like, "Now,
Yeah.
hang on, I'm going to take you out to steak dinner, but what in the world is that?
Yes.
I don't know what that number is. Talk to me like a person, please."
You normally have that character, right? In English, please, so
Yeah,
that
yeah.
the audience can hear and
Can
be
get
on their
it.
side. But we don't, and it seems like a really pivotal part of the cracking of the case is this NCISCI. And
Yeah, those two forms.
And I'm like, but I need to know what those are just so I can go, so it'll
Yeah.
roughly have this on it.
Yeah, you want to be able to play along a little bit. Like I know
Yeah.
you want to be surprised, but still like, oh, there's something on that form that if I could only put it together as fast as he could, I would know. But you can't play along.
They keep it from us. And then lastly, what did you think of the stinger? Now, I don't know if this is the most delicate representation of mental health issues, is it?
No.
So is it hereditary? Is it dormant in her? Or is it once it leaves one, it passes on to the next
Oh, like some sort of
immediately?
demon-y kind of thing?
Yeah, who knows?
Interesting, yeah. I
even
thought-
questioned if it was her all along, and then I realised that it can't be because it's sort of timelines don't work.
space and everything, yeah.
Yes.
I did love the pop song that
Oh, how have we not talked about this? Melissa's theme tune.
yeah. Melissa, your eyes, why do you keep staring? But it had
So
it
creepy.
at the when she was sat there talking to Tommy on the quad
Under the
it
tree, yeah,
started
yeah.
playing that song, and I was like, oh wow, I don't know if I've ever really experienced like foreshadowing in a pop song before, because it's like, why are you staring like that, what happened to you? And like, she's just sitting smoking a cigarette on the quad, she's eating an apple.
Yes.
Who cares? Like, what? I don't know what the problem is, but it was all because at the end she witnessed some horrific Tommy the Who thing, and now she's got to be like this weird comatose horror figure,
Yeah.
and we get a fun
so
pop
she's
song like Tommy.
taking the mantle. So they tried to release that as a single.
I bet
so
they
obviously it was-
did.
Yeah. To coincide with the movie. And as the movie didn't do well, the song didn't do very well either.
Such a
I
shame.
don't think it really placed. But it's very creepy and voyeuristic. It's
Yeah.
because it's sort of lullabyic. That's not a word, but I'm using it.
Lilibic, I think is the word.
Lilivic, yeah. But also very leery. It's sort of
Yeah.
where are your eyes landing?
Yeah.
Strange.
And a little
not
insulting,
like it.
probably, with the fact that she's now encased in her own mind. And like, what's with your
crying.
eyes, Melissa?
Yeah,
Get
it's a
over
mental
it.
health issue. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's a literal condition. Weird. I think it's a very strange film. I have to say, pacing wise, I think as you said before, it's definitely more of a thriller, and I think pacing wise, it could earn the sort of slow, trudgy pace if the clues and the whodunit actually were with us and not kept from us a little more.
Yeah. I thought I found every single scene transition to be so abrupt that was almost sort of like off-putting to me in terms of the pace. Like I wanted to sort of, I don't know, experience it a little bit more, or like
Right.
consider what I just saw. But instead it was like, bam, 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 just quick cuts.
Finished.
Yeah. All right, next.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, and I don't think that helps it tonally, because it feels it's porn edit,
Uh-huh.
but they want us to feel this gradual build, and it doesn't work like that, because as you say, it juxtaposes what the actual story is doing. It's very, very odd.
And it's never abrupt to an end, like, a freight train coming through and like, stealing our attention or anything like that. It's just, we're out of this. There's no like, let's come off of like this nice flower and come over to the scene. It's just, bam, we're in it. Bam.
Ah, boy. I mean, I'm not upset that I watched it. It's not particularly exciting. I suppose the only element is the last sort of 15-20 minutes where it does get a little more interesting, and the whodunit elements are there. But as you say, you're like, oh shit, I missed the crux of it. I missed the big reveal because we're just not given it.
Yeah.
But other than that, any final thoughts?
I did. I really enjoyed the cast. I thought that the little Scooby-Doo family was a lot of fun, and and Kathy over there in the archival office, and apparently the woman that played Joni Tricia, was Lee Strasberg's daughter.
Wow. Oh well.
So I mean, she was just acting her heart out in the final
acting
moment
royalty,
there,
I suppose.
so.
Well, from the royal blood of acting.
Yeah.
Although
Just
she is
dripping
great.
and yeah, it was fun. Yeah. She was super committed to everything that she did. But
Well, yeah.
I thought, the pace was kind of weird for me. The mystery kind of fell flat. The kills were not very visceral, which you would kind of want out of something like this. But I thought everybody was so charming that I just kind of kept watching, like that they made it enjoyable.
Yeah, that's the thing. I didn't zone out at all, and I do, even when I know I'm meant to be talking about a film if it's structured in a certain way. But I didn't zone out at all, and I think I think a lot of it feels competently made, because I watch a lot of shitty 80s horror movies. Some of them, the endearing factors are when they are so incompetently made.
Yeah.
But I think this is competently made, which kind of
makes true.
It feels like a film, which is quite a lot to say for a 1983 B movie.
Yeah, I kept looking for like some sort of, like a wonky boom in the shot, or like, just some really off stuff that would kind of make it a little bit more low budget, but seemed moderately budgeted and well thought out. And just they probably could have used a little more time on a script, I guess.
Yeah, the script was the weakest, I suppose. And I think my favourite moment is probably the opening, because that was really kind of great, that big gothic opening, but then it just takes you to rural Texas. It's so weird.
Yeah. I wonder who that guy was. I guess he was maybe from the book. The murdered victim.
Oh, the mud guy.
Yeah.
The muddy guy. Yeah, I thought he was going to be our killer, because I thought, that's new. I've not seen that. It's like greased up, ugly naked guy or whatever it is from Family Guy. I think I just mixed up Friends and Family Guy in one.
Yeah, I think he's greased up deaf guy on Family Guy.
There you go. Mate, thank you so much. Obviously, you've got strikes at the moment, so I mean, solidarity to that.
Heck yeah.
And I mean, I can't say whether
that.
Sweet 16 was a union movie. Who knows? But also it's crazy time. It's because obviously it does filter over to us as well, because anything streaming is all American based, and also a lot of big BBC dramas and stuff now are all optioned and co-pros with a lot of American because of streaming.
Well, when the writers shut down, they were still like, we got all this overseas work, it's okay. And then the writers, then the actors cut out, and all the studios were like, oh heck, we can't do anything now.
Yeah. Any idea how long it will go on for?
Sincerely, no. No. The last one, I when I first moved to LA in 2007, that one lasted 100 days, and now the writers are into 111 or 112 or so at time of recording, and they're talking now. The writers are talking with the producers, so hopefully that'll get wrapped up, and then the actors will just kind of swing right in there. But we'll see.
Yeah, we were on the verge of strike with Equity just recently, and I mean we didn't go on strike, and we ended up agreeing to, less than we wanted, and it's not even about money. It's just about certain principles and fairness and all, and equality within different sectors. But yeah, I mean, it's a much stronger union over where you are, and but I hope it all works out though.
Yeah, me too. I mean, it will. Obviously, it will.
Yeah.
I think that Hollywood is shifting dramatically, which is probably fine. People like movies and TV shows.
Yeah.
Clearly, we're on a show right now. You're watching 30-year-old movies and enjoying yourself because people put in this time and effort and heart into these things, and human beings will always have that, and they'll always love that. Maybe that just means you're on your 4th season of a show and you don't get that Lamborghini. Oh well,
right. Well,
oh well, it's okay.
Yeah,
the craft isn't going anywhere.
No, you're right. Listen, thank you so much, and just tell the people where they can see your stuff. Obviously, TikTok and YouTube. But how do they find that?
The best places are TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, all at Colin A. Borden, Colin A. Borden. And I want to plug on my YouTube right now, since this is maybe the platform for it. I directed a horror film called The Herd, which you can go check out. It's a short film. You can go check it out on my YouTube, youtube.com/Colin A. Borden.
Well, I'm going to go do that right now. Listen, Colin, thank you so much. And I will see you on TikTok, and I really appreciate this.
I love it. Thank you so much for having me, sir. I'll talk to you soon.
But thanks, buddy. There we go, my lovelies. Thank you, Colin, for being such a brilliant guest. And thank you, SAG-AFTRA, for striking so that I can convince American performers to watch crappy 80s horror movies much more easily. Next week, it's a biggie. We'll be discussing Lamberto Bava's cult trashterpiece, Demoni, or Demons, if you need the translation. I can't wait for this one. This movie is up there in all-time favorite lists. So go get yourself a ticket to the Metropole, and I'll meet you there. Toodles!